Hi guys, hi, how's it going? How y'all doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I'm reflecting on the newness that's come into my collection over the last 12 months. All of the new brands that I encountered in 2024 and giving you some thoughts on the items that I've used. And some of them I've only had like one, maybe two items from. So, take that with a grain of salt, but I like to encounter different brands every single year. I like to bring at least one or two or five new brands into my collection every year so that I can test and try something new to me, something maybe a little less mainstream, something maybe a little less popular. And that has been the case most years, but this year on my count, as far as makeup brands go, and I could be off base here, but I have ventured into 14 new brands this year. And that's not just new brands out on the market. That's new brands to me, right? Brands I've never tried before. Some of them are new brands on the market. Some of it is about palettes. Some of it is about blushes. Some of it is about a bunch of other things, lip glosses, things like that. But I thought that that would be interesting just to walk through some of the new brands that I've tried this year and give you my thoughts on them. Now, I typically do a next as well, but as you guys maybe know or don't know, I've talked a lot about doing a no-buy for the year 2025. So I don't know how far I'll get into this next on my brand list this year, but if something were to come into my life, I'd hope it be one of these brands. If I venture outside of my no-buy, I hope that I'm venturing into one of these brands. So with that said, let's talk about the new and next brands that I have on my list, new to me this year, and next brands to me, hopefully newness in my collection. And I hope that sounds like something that you're interested in watching. If it does, welcome. Please stick around. Please keep on watching. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I'm a lover of all things high and colorful beauty and self-care. Ultimately, this is my self-care. I like to talk to you guys about the good, the bad, the ugly, all things coming into my collection, leaving my collection, give you some thoughts and opinions on all those things, and I hope that you're here for it. I really would love for you to hit that subscribe button and become part of my YouTube fam. Hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time I upload, which is 3 times a week. And stick around in the comments section because I love to respond to you guys down in the comments section. So with that said, let's roll into this video of new and next. I grabbed a couple things to show you. I also picked a couple more brands out of my collection that this was the first year that I tried them. So make that list like 15 instead of 14. So let's just start with this. One of the first brands that I picked up this year was Rakuten Beauty. Now, this was a new brand out on the market, but it was also a brand that came to Ulta Beauty. It was in one of my Alaska locations when I went to visit Alaska in March, and I picked up 3 of the handbag palettes, 1 of the liquid eyeshadows or cream eyeshadows, and then this came to me in gratis during leadership conference in April. I did review these eyeshadow palettes, and I have to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of them. I do like one of them more than the others, and that is this one, and I think it's mostly about the color story because green is my favorite color. This one is the Paradise Lost and Found eyeshadow quad. It's a beautiful eyeshadow quad, but I don't 100% love the formula of the Rakuten eyeshadows. This one is Unnatural World. You guys will see that in my palette ranking video that I do for all the palettes that I used and tried in 2024, because these do rank pretty low in that. At least these two do. This one is called Feel My Vibe. The biggest reason, honestly, is because of the formulation. I don't love them. It doesn't stick around. In addition to that, like, these quads cannot really stand on their own, which a quad absolutely should be able to stand on its own when you take it out of town, right? There is 1 matte and 3 shimmers in every single one of these shadow palettes. This one is a little bit different in that it has 2 mattes. The 2 browns are mattes, but it has this weird, like, creamy shadow in there that doesn't really go with anything and just becomes a base, honestly, for the purple shadow to go over the top of, and then it just doesn't go together. So I didn't love the formula, but I also really, after much more thought than that in the moment, you know, spur of the moment kind of process when I'm in a store seeing all the newness, after much more deliberation in my brain, I should never have picked those up. In addition, I did pick up one of their Ray-Ban color shots. It is beautiful, really truly stunning for cream shadow. It's just not got like the oomph in it that I really had hoped that it would have, but it makes a really beautiful, like, one and done kind of lavender chromey taupey looking eyeshadow. It is pretty. I don't mind this so much. This is actually a much better formulation than even the cream in the quad. And then I got this in gratis, which is Rabanne Beauty Love Balm. And I can't decide whether I love this or don't love this. It's a really beautiful, like, balm. It has a really nice texture to it. It feels really good on the lips until it doesn't. And I can't figure out if it is this or if it is some of the products that I'm wearing underneath of it, like maybe the lip liner that I put underneath it. I can't decide whether it is drying out my lips or the products that I'm putting underneath it are drying out my lips. What I love about it, though, is that it just kind of cools down whatever you're wearing underneath it. Rabanne Beauty for me is probably not a brand that I will buy from again. Now, I didn't pull out any of these palettes because I have only used 2 of them, but the 2 that I've used are beautiful. They are Dreamer and Lore. These are from Unearthly Cosmetics. I think these palettes are stunning, and there is a really good reason to pick these palettes up. They are fantastic. They are so beautiful. The shimmers are amazing. They don't bother my eyes in any way, shape, or form, and I am really super excited to have them in my collection. And when I purchased these 2, I purchased, I think, 6 at the same time, or 5 all at once. So I still have quite a few palettes to go through with them. That said, palettes and eyeshadow formulations are the only thing that I've tried from this brand, and they have so much more to offer. But having tried this brand, I want to try more from this brand. So I hope to get much more from this brand in my collection, try out some of the other wares that they have for sale. They are a brand that I will continue to buy from. The next one is Cosmic Beauty. Cosmic Beauty is, again, just a brand that I've tried palettes from, and the palette that I tried from them is very, very recent. Like, I got them into my collection, I think, in November, maybe October, and just recently tried one of their palettes in my palette roulette series. But it's a brand that I was scared to try, right? Because their price point is crazy awesome. I mean, I think I said in that review, almost criminal. It's so low for the quality of shadows that you're getting. And I was afraid to try them because the price point was so low. I thought that that equated to really poor formulation of eyeshadows and that everybody on the planet was lying. That's honestly what my thought process was. But that was so untrue. Like, they have really, really great quality shadows. I used the Winter Wonderland palette, which, if you know anything about it, it's blues and purples and greens, and it is so pretty, and I had so many beautiful eye looks come of it, and there was not fallout to speak of. There was no voiding, no creasing, no anything. It was just beautiful, and each one of their palettes does have multi-chromes and duochromes in it, and you can get them for under 40 bucks. They do come from the UK, so the timing as far as shipping is a little bit longer than typical, but I would say no longer than what you're gonna get from some of even the US indie brands if you're in the US. And if you're in other countries, it's probably a lot quicker than what it took for me to get it. For me, those palettes went from the UK to Seattle, then to New York, then back to Seattle, then to my hometown. And I was just like, why? Why are they doing this? But it took 3 weeks to get to me. It wasn't a horrible wait time though, and I think the palettes are very well worth the wait for sure. The next brand I have on here is Polite Society. Now, Polite Society is a relatively new brand in the first place, and I haven't tried a lot from them, but these are like little, like, they remind me of deodorant sticks, blushes, and I did pick up the shades Sydney and Los Angeles, and Sydney is this really beautiful kind of like coral, like burnt coral color. Even though it looks very mauvey in here, I think it actually performs more like a burnt coral color, which is fine. I'm here for it. And then the other one, Los Angeles, is like that Barbie doll pink that was going around and so popular at the beginning of this year, tail end of last year. So that's what it looks like. Listen, these are cream blushes, but they are so, so nice. They dry down to like a powdery finish. They feel very powdery to the touch when you're just like swatching them. They last such a long time. So I was really super impressed with the brand, which is really saying a lot because if you guys don't know, Polite Society is another Jared Blandino brand. And Too Faced, which was the original Jared Blandino brand, isn't something I'm a fan of. But I loved those blushes. And I also really, really like these, which are their Polite Pout Glossy Lip Balm. Everything's a tongue twister today, apparently. I really like these. I do have this one in caramel, right? Fresh caramel. And this one is in bumbleberry. They taste good. They feel good. Maybe a slight bit more glossy, less nourishing than the Summer Fridays. But then like the Ole Henriksen ones also are a slight bit more nourishing than the Summer Friday ones, in my humble opinion. So these definitely smell like the Summer Friday ones. And I think that they are more similar to the Summer Friday ones than the Ole Henriksen ones are, but they're so wonderful. I love them so much. They taste good. They feel good. Yeah, I am a fan of Polite Society. The next brand I tried was Youthforia, and I don't have the product here, so I'm going to just stick it up here because it was the absolute worst thing. Well, not the worst thing, but one of the worst products that I tried in 2024. It did land on my worst of 2024 list, which you guys will, I'm going to record that one next. You guys will probably see it next week at some point. This was a liquid blush called Chemical Reaction, and it's one of those pH blushes that's supposed to change color dependent on your body's pH. But the doe foot for it was so small. It was like almost a concealer size doe foot, you know, like maybe a Charlotte Tilbury concealer size doe foot. So really, really tiny. So you literally had to like scribble it on your cheek or scribble it on your hand and then try and pick it up with a brush or a sponge or something like that. But it didn't work so hot on your hand, so you literally had to scribble it on your cheek. Therefore, it picked up every ounce of everything underneath of it, and it didn't blend out. It didn't blend out for poop. I tried it on my hand to see if I could blend it out better in that way, and it didn't. It just melted into the skin way too quickly, in my humble opinion, for a formula that was pH adjusting, right? And therefore you'd have this like giant pink blob on your cheeks where you were trying to maybe put a blush. Everything underneath it was gone. So it almost looked like you had been hit. So it was the only thing that I've tried from Youthforia. So I'm basing my opinion on whether I will purchase from Youthforia again, not solely on this item, but from a formulation standpoint, solely on this item. It just wasn't good. And they have multiple different liquid blushes that are just like this, only not pH adjusting. And if this is how their blushes are, I can't imagine that the rest of their products are great. We all know that there was quite a bit of controversy with Youthforia over this last year. So I'm not going to dig into that. It's not a brand that I will purchase from again. So likely, there's nothing that really draws my attention. As a matter of fact, that blush was sitting in an impulse because it's sold in Ulta. That blush was sitting in the impulse section right there at the front of the store when you're going through cash wrap. And it was one of those things that I threw in just to throw in because it looked interesting and I was interested in the new brand at Ulta. And it was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. And I knew it almost immediately. But I ended up giving that blush to my daughter. She doesn't wear a whole lot of foundation, right? And she likes to experiment with things. And I don't think that she's opposed of having like a crazy pink cheek, whereas I am. So it's not a brand that I will purchase from again, regardless of the controversy going on. I just wasn't a fan of the formulation of the one product that I tried. And listen, if you can't get a blush right, yes, I know it was a cream blush, a liquid blush, I know that. But if you can't get a blush right, what can you get right? The next one I have is Beauty Bio. And you know, there are a lot of things from Beauty Bio that I really, really like. I like all of their tools. I have so many of their tools and I think that their tools are amazing. But this year, they came out with like these luminizing drops, bronzing drops, much like Drunk Elephant has, right? And every brand on the planet now at this point. And I tried them and they broke my face out so bad. I do think that I maybe have a small intolerance or a large intolerance to sunscreen and products, depending on what kind of sunscreen it is. Because I also kind of had the same reaction to a Clinique sunscreen product that I was using. And I don't know if it's chemical or mineral that they're using, but it literally turned my face into the worst, like cystic acne type issues. I am not an acneic skin person. Like I never, knock on wood, have issues with my skin. These Beauty Bio products destroyed my skin for a very, very long time. And granted, it was mild compared to some people's, and I know that this is first world problems. I really do. But when you don't have issues with your skin and then your skin becomes so painful and so inflamed and so awful, and it's because of a product, it makes you never want to touch that product again. I'll continue to use their tools, but I won't purchase a skin product from that brand again because I'm just terrified. I still have scars on this cheek from the, really awful acne that it caused on my cheeks. So I won't use it again. Not to say that Beauty Bio is a horrible brand, because it's not. Like I said, I love their tools, but I won't use their products again. As a matter of fact, one of the 3 drop products that I got, I hadn't even opened yet. I hadn't even used. And I was like, nope, all going, bye-bye, out of my collection. The next brand is AF94. I got some products from my leadership conference in Gratis, and there was some really cool products. Now, these are 2 of the products that I got, and I really actually quite love these. These are liquid shadows. This one is the green one, and just look at how pretty that green eyeshadow is. These are like really good one and done kind of products. Actually quite interesting in the bottle too. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's like swirled like purple and silver. They're really pretty. I like the About Face like liquid eyeshadows anyways. So of course I'm gonna like it. This is like the perfect color of like periwinkle in my humble opinion. I really like these. But I also got 2 cream blushes and I think 2 liquid lipsticks that looked like lava lamps in the component. And I think I got a liquid eyeliner as well. And all of those products, I tried one of the blushes. I didn't like it. It was super balmy. My hair stuck to it. It lifted up the makeup underneath. So I gave one of them, the one that I tried, to one of my daughters. And the other one is a brand new one that I haven't even opened that'll go into like a giveaway or maybe as a gift to my daughter or my niece or somebody like that. The 2 liquid lipsticks, very cool. They looked very awesome. And they aren't in my collection anymore as we're speaking because I've been working on my collection declutter videos. And they are something that I decluttered. I never even opened them. They look very cool in the container, but they're metallic and I won't wear a metallic lip. So I should have known and just not put those into my collection in the first place. I do think the liquid eyeliner went to my daughter immediately. It was in the shade yellow and I will never wear it. I should have known from the very beginning that they just weren't products for me, except for those liquid eyeshadows. I really do like them. But with that said, they're not made for me, right? They're made for somebody who is much younger, has got perfect skin, and that's just not me. So I do think that it's an interesting brand, and I love that they have a brand that's specifically geared towards tweens and a brand that's specifically geared towards adults, and neither one of those brands is super expensive, right? The About Face brand you can get on the affordable side of like an Ulta Beauty, right? So everything in that brand is really nice. I have a lot of products from About Face actually. I really like them a lot. And I think that the AF94 brand is also pretty fantastic for who it's for. And that said, nothing in that AF94 brand costs more than $10. So if you're looking for good high-end quality kind of things for your tween, that is a really great brand to purchase because it is great quality. It's just not made for me. I also don't have this product. This is the REM lip gloss that I tried. It's the only product that I've ever tried from REM. And not that I don't want to try REM in the future, but I did not love the lip glosses from REM. They're really super thick, really kind of stringy, I guess, in my humble opinion. I like a little more of like a lip gloss oil hybrid or a thinner lip gloss. It's not super opaque. The one that I had, I just didn't love it. I didn't love the lip gloss. So if I tried something from REM Beauty again, it's not going to be a lip product. But if I'm honest with you, this brand has never really intrigued me. And I don't know why. I am a fan of Ariana Grande, but I don't know why it is that this brand has never really intrigued me. So I've heard that the highlighters are fantastic, but I'm not really wearing highlighter a whole hell of a lot these days. In a turn of events, I'm wearing it today, but not really wearing highlighter lately. I don't love the look of like the liquid eyeshadows. I could try more from this brand, but I've only tried the lip gloss from this brand and I didn't love it. So not to sell that brand short. The next brand I have in here is this one. And it is Win Beauty. This is quite possibly one of the most long-lasting, beautiful, perfecting skin tints that I have in my collection. And I don't know that they call it a skin tint. Hydrating Skin Enhancing Tint. This does have SPF 30 and it is in a beautiful like chartreuse green bottle. So of course I was drawn to the brand in the first place because of the color on it. This is the brand that is created by Serena Williams, right? And it launched in Ulta Beauty earlier 2020, like mid 2024. This is a beautiful skin tint. If you are into a skin tint, I I would suggest this one. In my humble opinion, I'm a person who has like aging, kind of dry skin, maybe not so much dry, but maybe dehydrated skin. I'm not like acneic skin. I don't have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, but I am 48 years old, so my skin is aging and there's a lot of like inconsistencies in it. This is beautiful. It doesn't set into the fine lines and wrinkles that I do have, like crow's feet or like slight fine lines and wrinkles on my forehead. I do have these 11s here, which are really deep rooted wrinkles, right? From scowling at my kids or whatever it is. This doesn't settle into those. It reminds me a lot of the Dior Face and Body, but slightly more coverage and a lot more hydrating, if I'm honest with you. I really loved this product. So I would purchase more from Win Beauty. The next brand would be Live Tinted, and I have several products from Live Tinted that have honestly been in my collection for a lot longer than the last year. I do think that I got this product 2 years ago in gratis at leadership conference, ended up giving it to my mother, and then got it again this last leadership conference. So I just opened it up and started using it. This is the 3-in-1 tinted Hue Guard, which is sunscreen, moisturizer, and primer all in one. It does have a little bit of an orange tint to it or peachy tint to it. So it is a little bit like color correcting as well. It's not my favorite primer, but it's also not a horrible primer. I got this in that same like stack with that guy. And this is one of their color sticks. I don't even know if this has like a purpose. I think they have like color correcting sticks like this. They have blush. They have, I think it's supposed to be like an all over the body kind of stick. This I use specifically as blush because you can put it on and then just kind of buff it out. And it is such a beautiful cream blush, like a really beautiful warm tone during the fall. This is so beautiful. And you can make it like monochromatic because it is safe for lips as well. I know my friend Callie uses Live Tinted all the time, swears by Live Tinted. So when I heard that from her, I broke this stuff out and I also purchased this, which is the Live Tinted Hue Beam Blushing Bronzer Duo is what it's called. I would say this is more of a blush. It is huge. It's almost as big as my head. It is huge. I have tried it as just a bronzer. I've tried it as a blush. It works much better as a blush. I think that it is the perfect color to also go over the top of this as a cream blush stick. And this over the top is so pretty. I think this is a bit powdery, honestly, but I do like their products. Their products are really good. I think another brand that I maybe don't have on this list, now that I'm thinking about it because of the primer, pause. Live Tinted is a brand that I would purchase more from. Now that I have tried their products, because they've been in my collection for a while, I would purchase more from them. And I do think that they're a really great, perfect, like natural brand for people who are more natural makeup inclined. I think that that is a perfect brand for them. I don't know if this comes in more shades than this one. I don't think it does, but I think this is kind of really dark, if I'm honest with you. But it's pretty. And if you go just so, it lays beautifully on the skin. That's it right there. Just kind of centered around, just kind of moving through all of them. You can see that it's just not bronzer potential. It's too peachy. I wish that they had this in maybe, a couple, I don't know, 3 or 4 other shade ranges. Maybe actually made it more bronzy than blushy, but it is pretty. I would purchase from that brand again. The one that I just kind of went off on a side rant about was Ole Henriksen. Now, I think I have tried Ole Henriksen prior to this point, but something in my brain is saying maybe I haven't. And this year I tried some Ole Henriksen primers, the Ole Henriksen Pout Preserve, and the Pout Preserve is not on my desk, and I'm not going to get up and go get it, but I'll show you a picture here of not only the primer but the Pout Preserve. Number one, the Pout Preserve I think is a much better version from a hydration standpoint than the Summer Fridays. I feel like my lips feel more nourished and hydrated after using that product than they do after using a Summer Fridays product. However, I feel like the Summer Fridays lip balm smells better, tastes better. It's a little less thick, right? My friend Erin says that her Pout Preserve smells like cardboard. I have the cocoa one. I can see how it maybe smells like cardboard. To me, it smells like chocolate. That's all I smell. And I think it's because I don't like chocolate. So why I picked the chocolate one, I will never know. I like that lip balm a lot. That primer is a beautiful primer. I felt like everything that sat on top of it looked beautiful, and it created like this really healthy like look to my skin without looking greasy, and really shone through some of the foundations that I was wearing as well from a glowy perspective. So really beautiful primer, really beautiful lip products. I really like them a lot, so I will continue to buy from that brand as well. The next one is Misho. I don't know. This is a brand that my daughter got in her Ipsy, so maybe this is just a beauty box brand, but this is the contour stick that they gave her, and she gave it to me. And I think it's more bronzery or like warm contour than like actual contour. It is a beautiful contour stick though. I really do like it a lot. It looks a lot more cool tone there in the screen than I feel like it looks on my face, but this is beautiful. I would consider, you know, going online and buying more from this brand, not knowing a thing about it, just because of the experience that I had with this contour stick. I feel like it blended so beautifully and didn't pick up any of the makeup underneath, and just was easy to use. It reminded me in ease a lot of the NARS like Laguna Cream bronzer, how everybody's like, it blends itself. I feel like that contour stick kind of did the same thing. It was just super easy to use, and I would purchase more from that brand just based on the experience that I had with that one product. The next brand I have on here is Rose Inc. This is the bronzer. Mine is in the shade Kawaii, and I did not love this bronzer. Like, I think that people really love the formulation of this. This is so orange, and it doesn't, I mean, yes, it looks orange in here, but it is really orange on my skin, like Oompa Loompa orange, like this color of orange on my skin. I did not have a good time trying to make that make sense for my skin tone. I felt like it didn't really dry down. But here on my hand, it's definitely not as balmy as it was on my face. Look at how orange that is. Like, even looking though across the other shades that they have in that bronzer, I don't think there's a more cool tone version of this that isn't too deep for me. They don't have very many shades, if I remember correctly. There's only like 4, and I just didn't feel like I could find a shade that suited me. Even though I thought this one was a shade that could suit me, it definitely turned my skin orange, so I didn't have a good time with that. The formulation is not horrible, but it's also not fantastic. I didn't love it. It wasn't as easy to use. I felt like it kind of clung and stuck in certain places. Now, as a switch to that, I also tried their cream blushes, and I love this blush. This is in Heliotrope. It's one of their lip and cheek colors, and it is like a cream product, and this is what it looks like. I love the blush. What I will say about the blush is I felt like it picked up foundation underneath it if I wasn't really careful with it. So it is a little bit of a fickle product to use, especially if you've already laid your base makeup down, but it is so pretty. And when you do get it on, it just blends out pretty effortlessly. I really think this is more of a natural, you know, brand. I really think this is more of a brand that is meant for no makeup kind of purposes. Really enjoyed it. Didn't love the color of this. Really did enjoy this blush. Would I purchase more from Rose Inc? Maybe. I also have a lipstick, just a mini lipstick that came with the blush that I haven't used yet. I've heard really good things about their lip formulation. So I will have to try and get some use out of it this year since it's now, you know, over a year old in my collection. I would probably purchase more from Rose Inc. I just don't know that I would ever purchase another bronzer. Next is RMS Beauty. So this actually is something that's been in my collection for a while. It is the RMS Living Luminizer. And I do think that I have tried this before, but I took a better like stab at RMS specifically because I found it at JCPenney and found a blush that I have had my eyeball on since they first came out with these blushes and wanted to try it. So I did get the blush. I also started retrying the luminizer and they're just stunning. They're so pretty. Like I want to slather this all over my face. The cream luminizer is really beautiful. It is, however, a product that kind of stays a wee bit like wet, but that said, it looks wet on the skin. It doesn't look like it is dry or create any kind of exacerbation of texture that you might have on your cheeks. I think that this is probably a really great formula for a highlighter for aging skin, specifically because it just sinks in and it doesn't really look like it isn't supposed to be there. It's very, very natural looking. The greatest part of this is that you can get other like singles of the blushes or the bronzers or whatever and pop it out in the back and just switch out the colors that you're using. I don't know if this is magnetic though, so what are you going to do with these if you do that would be a question, but really beautiful brand, and I am in the market to pick up more from that brand just because I enjoy both of them so much, and they're completely different formulations, right? One's a powder formula blush and one's a cream formula highlight. I do have a friend who also had a concealer by them, and if I remember correctly, she talked about how much she liked that concealer in the pot from them. So, I mean, it would be a brand that I would be interested in buying more from. I also have tried Copacetic Cosmetics, but only because my friend Andy sent me a single shadow from Copacetic. So this is Copacetic Cosmetics Moonlight. This is also a brand that's been on my list for a long time, and why wouldn't it be? Look at that shadow. I love that when you flip it just so, it like disappears, right? That totally invisible base, and then you get into the light just right. It's so brilliant and beautiful green. I love this eyeshadow, and I am so glad to have it in my collection, and it makes me want to try more from Copacetic Cosmetics from a single eyeshadow perspective, but I have so many single eyeshadows in my collection that just go unused because I kind of forget that they're there, which is why I started my Build Your Own Palette series here on my channel. The next to last brand I have on here is the Westman Atelier brand. Y'all know that I purchased a bunch of Westman Atelier in the last VIB sale from Sephora because, like, you know, they're all the rage on the YouTube space right now. And I had watched review after review after review from Khaki and Martina Lily and all kinds of people on this brand, and therefore felt like I need to try it. And I have to be honest with you, I absolutely loved everything I tried except for the mascara. I am wearing the mascara again today. I did top it with another mascara, which I typically do anyways with my mascaras. I don't love the mascara. I don't think it really does anything for my lashes. I also don't love that it is so scented, but it is a scented mascara that doesn't linger forever. Like, I don't smell it right now, whereas like Lancome scents, I can smell forever. They drive my eyeballs nuts. I will say that the fragrance on that one does not drive my eyeballs nuts, mostly because I don't think it lingers. But the foundation and the concealer that I picked up from this brand are stunning. They're beautiful. These are the contour blush and highlight sticks. beautiful. And in addition to that, like you get so much, this is just a mini, you get so much product in this little tiny mini guy that there really is no need to buy a full size, because you're going to get enough to last you years and years and years in just the mini. I love this brand. It blends out so easily. It looks like your skin, but better, honestly. And it is just so beautiful. They're expensive, but really, truly worth every single penny, in my humble opinion. And I will repurchase from Westman Atelier. The last brand I want to talk about, and this pains me a little bit because I am doing a review on one of their palettes soon. And all of this stuff blew up after I had already mentioned that this was going to be the next palette in my palette roulette series. And obviously after I had purchased 3 palettes from this brand in September for my birthday. And that is Ensley Rain. Like, here's the truth. My friends here on this YouTube space have been talking about it. I myself didn't see anything about the posts. I didn't see any of the posts. That said, I'm going to try and be really short and sweet about this, while also trying not to get myself into trouble or anything like that. I don't feel like there's anybody on the planet that's a perfect human. And that said, when you are a brand owner or like in the social spaces, you have to present as perfect at all times. And that's rough, right? Because we are, none of us, perfect humans. I do think that there is what I believe to be right and wrong, based on like whatever perspectives I have in life, what my history looks like, what my childhood was like, whatever it is. And I do believe that there is what other people believe in is right and wrong, right? And that is likely different in most cases. My perspective and my view on something is greatly influenced by my life, and nobody has lived my life but me, right? So their perspectives and how they view things is greatly influenced by their life, and nobody's lived their life but them. So that said, I don't think that I can dictate my views, thoughts, and opinions, my perspectives to another person as the need to be their own view, thought, and opinion, right? I don't get to tell them what they're allowed to believe in and what they're allowed to say and what they're allowed to view something as. Now, that is not me saying that I believe in what I'm hearing is going on is right. I have, family members that are part of the community. I have really deep friendships with people that are part of the community. I consider myself an ally of all the things and have educated myself on those things because of my friends and family members that are part of the LGBTQ plus communities. You have to educate yourself. And you have to stand up and be a part of and share and subscribe to those people that you believe filter into your own belief structure in a positive way, right? So what that means for me personally is that I don't have to agree with something somebody thinks or says or does, or something a brand thinks or says or does. I have opted not to support other brands for things like this, right? Blatant racism or blatant discrimination of some sort. And I will not support any more a brand that it is brought to my attention is part of hate rhetoric or bigotry or racism or whatever the case may be anymore. That doesn't mean that I don't think that a person or a brand has the opportunity to educate themselves and change. That said, this is getting super deep and I'm so sorry for that, but this is a new brand to me and I want to be able to talk about it on my channel without feeling like I shouldn't, right? So I am in process of reviewing their Cold Moon palette. I will post that Cold Moon palette review. I have one more palette, I think, from them that I have not used. And I will use that palette, but I will not do a review on that palette until I can confirm that, you know, they are making changes to change and stand up instead of diminish things. Again, I didn't see the post. I don't know wholeheartedly what is going on. Things have been taken down. I did see like an apology of sorts, but I also know that Inslee Rain has made apologies for utilizing AI to create the art on the front of their palettes. I have actually spoken about it in my Lands of Enchantment review. I have not seen them change that, even though they said they were working on making change to that, right? So what do you do? Time will tell. Stuff happens. Mistakes happen. Shit happens. Growth also happens. So time will tell if we will see growth from this brand. That said, I won't purchase go forward anything else from this brand. So that's automatically going to filter into this, right? New brands to me in 2024 and whether I would purchase from them or no. Right now, the answer is no. But that doesn't mean that that would be the answer forever. I remember at one point in time, I purchased something from Jeffree Star. And then very early in my makeup YouTube career, if you will, then learned, educated myself and learned. And I haven't bought anything from that brand since, but I think it's mostly because I don't see changes that are happening with him, right? So if there are changes, we will revisit this. But for now, Inslee Rain is another brand that I tried this year. I will not repurchase from them, but I have loved every single thing that every single shadow that I have touched from that brand. Part of what is in my eye look is from Inslee Rain's Cold Moon palette today. What's on my lid space is all Inslee Rain. Like, they have beautiful formulas, beautiful textures. It's very sad. It's very sad because at this point in time, I won't be purchasing from Inslee Rain again, but they created some of my favorite products. As a matter of fact, the Lands of Enchantment palette lands very, very close to #1 on my palette of the year list, my ranking list for 2024. So I'm very sad about it, but I at this point in time, I won't be purchasing them from them again. That said, let's lighten this up a little bit. I've just spent the last hour talking about, in my time, in my real time, the last hour talking about all of the makeup brands that were new to me this year. What's next on my list? You guys know that I've been talking about a no-buy for a while, like I said in the intro, so I'm not sure how quickly these are going to filter into my next, right? But some brands that are on my list to try are Bella Beauté Bar, Glaminatrix, Gloss Gods. I've heard my friend Melissa talk about Gloss Gods over and over and over again. So like, I need to try it. Fantasy Cosmetica. Emily from Emily and Max talks about Fantasy Cosmetica all the time. Their Druid palette. Is it their Druid palette? Right? That's their palette, I do believe. Beautiful palette. I would love to try them. Gourmand Girls. Steph. It's just Steph talking to you. You have me sold on Gourmand Girls. Terra Moon is actually a brand of single shadows that I had on my list many moons ago. And I haven't done this video in several years, but I'm putting it back on my list. They've just done some really great, beautiful single shadow colors that I found beautiful. So I've been like drooling over their single shadows a lot again lately. Lethal Cosmetics has been on my list for years. I have a hard time with them though, because building a palette turns that palette into like an $80 palette, and I don't want to spend $80 on a formula I'm just not sure about. And I've heard that their shimmers and their like metallic formula is not better than some of the other metallics that we're getting from indies. And I think that indie brands have kind of ruined me at this point for any shameful metallic out there on the market. Shroud Cosmetics, I would love to try them. Rebel Rouge Labs and Sugar Drizzle. You guys, all of these are indie brands. Every single one of them. I remember a time when I had like Natasha Denona on this list or Pat McGrath on this list. Those times are no more. Those times are no more. So that said, those are the brands that are on my list and the brands that I tried new to me this year and all of my thoughts and opinions on things. And I know that some of these brands, the thoughts and opinions are take with a grain of salt because I only tried 1 or 2 items from them. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. What new brands did you try this year? And what new brands are you looking to try next year or this coming year? I would be interested to know, especially if you've done this video yourself. I'd be interested to know. Please tag me. I'd love to come watch it. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I hope that you and yours are well. I hope that you are all safe and healthy and getting along as best that you can. I hope that you are all loving each other, being kind humans, and living your best life. And until next time, bye friends.